Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. North America, or wherever you may find yourself. I'm Silver Sterling, and are you ready for a mystery? Hexaco Motor Oils presents the Hexaco Mystery Radio Hour, sponsored by Hexaco. Tonight, we bring you tales from the gritty streets of Chicago with Gunn for Hire.
Nothing's ever simple. And in Chicago in 1933, where the shadows grow nearly as long as the bread lines, everything is 7 shades of complicated. And for Grace Gunn and Myles Pike, the paths they're on are about to hit more twists and turns than the Monaco Grand Prix. But in a world where you swore you saw something you've never seen before and a black-suited stranger insists you didn't, what else would you expect?
When I was a little girl, everything seemed to fit easily into one of 2 categories. Things were either right or wrong. Now that I'm older, things are never that absolute. Shades of gray mix in, blurring the lines of ideals that I once held to. There was one thing Grandma Vic taught me, other than how to shoot straight. It was that no one is ever what they seem to be. There come times when we all have to do something out of the purview of our concepts of right and wrong, something a bit gray, if you will. We all have our own set of skills that allows us to navigate these gray areas. For some, it's picking locks, keeping records of under-the-table dealings, or knowing who's doing who and on what night of the week. Me? Well, let's just say I know a guy, and that allows me to stay just this side of the gray. I know how far I can dip my hand into the murk to get what I need to do my job. Gray is a comfortable place to be. If you want black and white, read a newspaper.
So you're at your office, Grace, and Bam Bam, you were going to head over there after that, correct?
Correct.
All right. You have arrived as Grace is going through some of her files here.
Holy cats! Who is it?
Grace?
You're not Grace.
No. You are. Can I come in?
Get in here.
Tommy opens the door and steps in. He's got an old Young and Holt journal that he's been reading. It's a little dog-eared. And he takes it over and puts it on one of your coffee tables against the wall and kind of swaps it out for the next issue.
How was it?
It was good. They found this barn with all these bodies, and yeah, it was kind of, well, anyway, I wanted to talk to you a little more about the case, and it's kind of playing on my mind a little bit, and I guess maybe because of what I'm reading and stuff, but I do appreciate you looking into this matter.
Can we talk about this and walk at the same time?
Yeah.
You'd like to go on a field trip, wouldn't you?
If you need some backup, more than happy to walk with you. Look,
So I start kind of gathering up some papers and stuff them in a file folder, and I have a random, very worn, kind of attaché kind of case. And I'm like, well, I've got some other work to do, but if we can talk and walk at the same time, that would be perfect.
Well, it's been a week or so, and have they, I hate to ask this, but Have they found anybody like her yet? I mean, that when I got out, I was trying to find her, and there was that murdered woman that used the alias that she used, and she was, murdered in that horrific way. Have you heard about anybody else, or are you any closer to finding her?
Leads have been a little sparse, but I can tell you, and you can take comfort in this, Tommy. The woman that they found wasn't who we're looking for. I had to pay the bills, unfortunately, and had to take another job, so I'll keep working on yours as well as this new one, but it might take just a little longer.
I appreciate that. I do. I just hope she's safe.
We'll find her.
So this case you're working on, what you need me to do?
Oh, just be a second pair of eyes for the moment. I really don't know what I'm looking for. I was given a key and an address to go check out.
Are we being law-abiding, or are we following the letter of the law?
I think the letter of the law will be sufficient.
Good to know.
As you round the corner we'll say that you're having this conversation as the elevator is going down, and you're in the building. The doors and the elevator open, and standing there is the building owner. And I don't remember if we ever gave him a name.
Conrad sounds about right. Thank you, Myles.
So Conrad's standing right there in front of you as the doors open and the two of you step out of the car. Ah, Miss Gunn.
Conrad.
Good morning. It's been a couple of weeks, and since the first of the month, and we had discussed at that time rent. That you said that you'd have the rent probably in a couple of weeks.
I'm really close to having your entire amount. I'm getting more time from you.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know that we've had this situation before where you've said that you needed a little bit more time, and then when I came back after that a little bit more time, you said you needed a little bit more time, and then you did pay. That's true.
I was gonna say I came good.
You did. You were good for the money. Is this a little bit more time like that example, or is this a little bit more time as in like a few days? Because I need to remind you, of course, Miss Gunn, that right now we've been. You're still a bit behind on your rent. And I've been okay with this because I haven't been able to secure any other tenants. And you keep things relatively clean. And I find your secretary to be quite the cordial gentleman. He seems very nice. And then you yourself, of course, are very nice. And you've always been very good at reporting problems with any other tenants. But there does come a time, Miss Gunn. Charity can only go so far, even in times tough as these.
I'm just asking for just a little more charity, Conrad. I've got two jobs right now that I'm working. It's just a matter of time.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it just seems like you and your companion here are off to somewhere, so I don't want to delay you, but yes, Miss Gunn, the sooner the better in all things such as this. Yes?
Sounds good.
All right.
And I will get you your money just as soon as I can.
I would expect nothing less, simply because that is what is expected in this case.
Have a good day, Conrad. We'll be in touch soon.
I heard me a Sermonette. Have you heard it yet? With that soulful message that you won't soon forget. It tells about real.
Where are you headed, the two of you?
With my key and address, I'm taking Bam Bam with me to check out Leo's office.
The address takes you to the Bartlett building, which I don't have an indication where in Chicago that actually is, but nonetheless, it's still there. It's an office building similar to, well, like many buildings that you would find as such in Chicago, as well as the one that your office itself is in. It's easy to get in, not a problem. There's no real security check. There's people kind of moving in and out. It's not busy foot traffic by any means, but there are a few people. Takes you up to the 7th floor, and you go down the hall, and you find it's room 713 there, and it's just listed as Leo Hellsberg, is all it says on the outside, and lights are off inside. You can definitely tell that.
Slide the key in the lock and turn the doorknob and see what happens.
It is of course locked, but yes, with the key it absolutely does open. It's essentially a small one-room office. There's the desk, there's the window, blinds are closed right now. There's a coat rack, there's a small cabinet, and then of course a filing cabinet as well off to the side. And then there's a couple of chairs facing the desk, and then against the other wall opposite the desk is a couch.
Tommy steps into the room behind Grace, closes the door behind him, and freezes in position by the door, knowing better than to go further into the room.
You okay, Tommy?
Just staying out of your way, ma'am.
I'm going to start with the desk.
Make me a notice check. And do you have anything that gives bonuses because of your occupation to like searching or visual-based searching?
Investigate and alertness, which would give me a +4.
Wow. Go ahead and add that +4. Ooh, very nice.
That is a 9.
9. So that is a success with a raise. All right. So you're poking through here, and you're finding a lot of things that you would expect to find. Obviously, stationery, maybe a few receipts that seem pretty inconsequential in regards to nothing that piques your interest. One thing you find a small journal, not too much in there, but there's a lot of various notes that you're flipping through. It talks about lunch dates with Matilda, not only at the Three Spires Club, although, well, no, it's actually more talking about Matilda's at Three Spires Club like today, and it has a date from several months ago or something. But then there you do find notes about lunch dates with Matilda at the Blackstone restaurant or at the Le Rise Cafe on Lincoln. However, the one thing that absolutely catches your interest, there is a secret compartment in one of the drawers, and takes you a little wriggling, but you're able to get it open. And as you tip it up, you find an ashtray. It's empty. A cigar box with about 4 cigars in there. A matchbook that is monogrammed on there. It says The Nest, and then on the flip side it has the address to whatever the nest is. Make me a common knowledge roll. Oof.
Oh.
Close. That 3 is still not a success.
Not so much better.
Do you want to re-roll it again, or are you good?
Hey, Bam Bam?
Yeah?
Do you know anything about a place called The Nest?
Bam Bam, make me a common knowledge roll. And Bam Bam, because of the nature of who you are and your past, you may add a +2 to this.
That would be a 5, right?
Actually, no, that'd be a 6, right?
Oh, +2.
Yeah. Not only do you, yes, you've heard of it, you've never been there, you know it's not necessarily a rougher club, but it's a bit seedy, it's a bit rougher. I just said it's not a rough club. Yeah, it's a bit more seedy. It definitely was a speakeasy, for sure. There's dancers there.
Yeah, it's not a place that a gentleman would go. They got girls.
Just kind of arch my eyebrow at Tommy.
Hey,
Just look at him.
I never been there.
Because Tommy's a gentleman.
Yes, but he's a gentleman with a history.
Hey, I'm training.
You flip the matchbook open. Inside there is a dried lipstick kiss on the inside, and then written underneath it is the name Trixie, and there's a little heart over the eye, where the eye should be dotted. There is only one eye that is has got the heart on there. The other one's just a dot. You haven't checked the cabinet or the file cabinet yet.
I pocket the matchbook and the little notebook. I stuff those in my bag. And since I am doing, how did we decide that was going to say? The spirit of the law instead of the letter of the law. And move over to the file cabinet.
The file cabinet, it appears you're kind of going through there. It looks like he keeps a lot of this looks like for his jewelry business. It looks like probably backup copies of sales, customer information, and whatnot in regards to his business. There doesn't go ahead and make me another notice check, and you may add that +4. All right. So you spend about I'm assuming you're not going to want to re-roll that 9.
No.
You
Silly GM.
You spend about a good 15 minutes kind of going through here. You're not finding anything too unusual, and then you get to this back file. Essentially, it's a file. There's nothing specific in there that deals with sales or customer interactions or whatever. And what it appears to be is a number of written kind of encounters that, as you're kind of just thumbing through and scanning, it looks like it goes back a while, like a couple of years. There's a number of details where some of Capone's men have paid him a visit in an effort to try and get him to turn his business over to Capone. There's another entry maybe there about potential threats, that kind of thing. A lot of interactions with Capone kind of going after this guy and him essentially resisting. It trails off, chronologically, it trails off around the time that Capone kind of ran into trouble with the law. And then essentially once the trial and everything began, it basically disappeared. And there's no more entries or anything after that.
Tommy, it looks like our boy might have been into more than he realized. As I slide the folder into my case.
Mind if I grab those cigars?
I have a feeling he's not going to miss them, so go for it.
These smell nice.
They do, actually.
They're the good stuff. I mean, he is a high-profile jeweler, so...
Grace, make me also a smarts check, and you may add +2 for your investigator edge. One of the things that you do notice about the files and everything that I just talked to you about is that when they're written out as if this was, or you get the sense anyway that this was written out as a sort of compilation kind of thing. So this wasn't like a separate journal where, Dear Diary, Al Capone came and visited me today, blah, 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 blah. And he goes on. It's more of like post-incident overall documentation. You know what I mean? So if anything, like he was doing this really good for a while, then all this stuff happened with Capone. What am I trying to say? If more stuff happened, he didn't take the time to write it down, if that makes sense.
It sure does. Are there any other bookshelves or anything that
There's just the one cabinet off to the side, on one of the other side walls.
Can I just give it a cursory glance as we're getting ready to...
You absolutely can, and you find a few bottles of whiskey and or vodka in there, along with a couple of tumblers to drink it out of as well.
It looks like you might have done some fancy entertaining in his office, too. I imagine this is pretty top shelf stuff.
So you're wanting me to carry it back to your office? Is that what you're telling me?
No, Tommy, that's not what I'm telling you. And what am I going to say to his brother? Oh, I went to your brother's office and stole his whiskey and vodka?
It's detective expenses.
And I'm sure it might come handy if you need to gift it to somebody.
But you don't say anything, like he knows what's in his liquor cabinet.
Use your discretion. You do know what that word means, don't you?
Yeah, it means grab it and you don't want to hear about it.
Ooh.
Bingo.
She's not the one. She didn't take anything.
Tommy's gonna try to find a briefcase or something in there that he could put these bottles in and try to carry with him, since they would probably clink in his trench coat pockets.
Make me a notice roll.
Nope.
Ooh. You're not finding anything. All right.
So are these decorative like crystal bottles, or are they standard whiskey bottles? Like, did he move it into a nice decanter?
No, these are standard whiskey bottles. It is not in a decanter.
I just kind of look at him and go, are you sure you don't want to take the glasses too? And she hears the wheels turning in Tommy's mind as he considers taking the tumblers with him.
Oh, is there any newspapers around?
Yes, you can absolutely find some newspapers.
All right, Tommy will roll the bottles up in some newspaper and then slip a bottle of whiskey, one in his left trench pocket and one in his right.
You've stolen the liquor bottles. You have taken the cigars.
Pilfered the papers.
You're leaving it, I'm assuming?
Yep.
I couldn't tell you what day it was, but I could tell you what the day was like. It was misty and damp. The kind of damp that soaks all the way through, causes your skin to feel like the leftovers of a dry jar of Grandma's jelly. The box heads were hitting us hard. Gas, artillery, you name it. If they could shoot it out of a cannon, it was landing on us in the trenches. Then I remember something. I was wiping the dirt out of my eyes after a shell hit closer than I had gotten to a gal named Dorothy a week before. My ears were ringing louder than one of Bell's invention, but I had all my parts, so I kept moving. It was tough to see through all the smoke, and the screams from dying soldiers added to the ringing in my ears. I rounded the corner in the trench, and there it was. I told myself for a long time it was just some Heinrich cutting up my boys with a bayonet, but now I'm not so sure. Maybe that bayonet was claws. Maybe that dirty German uniform was actually fur covered in blood and innards. Either way, I got away. That thing has followed me in my dreams ever since.
Okay, so go ahead and make me another healing roll, and I'm trying to think if you need a modifier to this, though. You know what? Actually, I will give you a plus. I'll give you a +1, simply because you're working in your facility, and you've had this conversation now with Irving, who's kind of put you in this mode about possibly fangs, and so you're kind of keyed into looking for certain things. So that would give you a 4 as a success. You could re-roll if you wanted to try and get success with a raise. You wouldn't lose this. I mean, you're still going to get this 4 out of this, and you'll still get the +1.
Yeah, I'm going to try a re-roll.
Wow.
Holy Hannah!
That's a pretty good roll. Jeez.
That's a little better.
Yeah.
You even rolled a 7 on your other dice.
That is a
That's
21. That's a well spent Benny.
Doc is living up to his name.
Yeah, that is that's quite good.
Thanks.
So you take some time, your head's kind of cleared a little bit. You kind of even felt good in a certain way to share some of this information with Irving, kind of lighten that mental load a little bit. You refocus yourself and you get down there and you look at the fragments. There, you do notice that for sure, you're pretty convinced that it's nail material from something. However, what it does have in there, and this is something that you can't quite identify, but you focus down really tight, and of course it's just a little broken fragment, so it's difficult to tell, but you kind of surmise that probably it has these lines that run through it and they're distinctly black when compared to the color of the claw or the talon or the fang material, but there are these lines of black that run through this stuff. You're not sure exactly what those are, even with that result, but as you look at this, Myles, some of those memories and those things are coming back to you in the sense that it just makes you think of that time. Maybe that thing I saw in that trench that one time, maybe it was what I initially thought it was, and maybe I just offered myself a different explanation. I don't know. You feel like you need to get a second opinion of sorts, but not from a traditional doctor.
Okay. Do I know who that might be?
In your past, since you've gotten back from the war, you do know a couple of people who kind of run in those circles. I mean, you kind of keep those things quiet. Because it's just obviously most of the time people don't believe you, or don't believe anybody who talks about that kind of stuff. It's also from an authority standpoint, it's not looked upon kindly. Yeah, you kind of spend the rest of your time trying to figure out, remember a name, and where you need to go.
And now, some wondrous words of wisdom about products to make your life better.
Your life, your routine, it may be familiar, it may be safe, but for life to be truly lived, it needs a bit of something more. Something unknown, something peculiar. It needs Red Petal Pujana tea. This special blend of tea brings the exotic and mysterious nature of the lands of the East into your cup. One sip of perfectly blended Red Petal Pujana transports you to a time and place where excitement and the unknown await. One sip turns you into a fan of the drink from Shan Fan. The mysterious masters of the Great Maze have tamed the techniques of a tantalizing, tasty tea. Drink the drink that makes you feel as if you don't have a kang in the world. Release the inner iron dragon within you. Drink Red Petal Pujana tea. All other choices are abysmal.
Well, one clue leads to another, and one weird thing always leads to something weirder. But what the next clue is, and what that weirder is, we'll save for another night. Alright, that's enough for now, so shake a leg till next time. But just so we're clear, the part of Grace Gunn was played by Jill Rich, Irving Holt is played by Brad Smith, Myles Pike is played by Scott R. Nelson, and Tommy Bam Bam Prue is played by Brent Rich. and the boss in charge of this clip joint is Chris Hussey. I'm Mei Wick, and remember, taking a wooden nickel is less trouble than a ghost rock dime.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Hexaco Mystery Radio Hour. This game references the Savage Worlds game system, available from Pinnacle Entertainment Group at peginc.com. It is unofficial media content permitted under the Media Network Content Agreement. This content is not managed, approved, or endorsed by Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Certain portions of the materials used are the intellectual property of Pinnacle, and all rights are reserved. Savage Worlds, all related settings, and unique characters, locations, logos, and trademarks are copyrights of Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Leaving a 5-star review of this podcast not only helps everyone here at the Hexaco Mystery Radio Hour, it's also your civic duty. When doing so, please search for Fear the Boot Actual Play. Hexaco wants to remind you to make your car run like magic and always use great Hexaco products. Until next time, I'm Silver Sterling, reminding you to always keep one eye on the shadows.